Well, leadership to me is all relationships. It's, a lot, it depends how you define leadership. But as far as from the youth team, what I look for in a leader is somebody that's doing it without the designation. Like they're the de facto leader. People look to them. Sometimes it correlates to like who's the fastest, but that is absolutely not a requirement to be the leader. Leader is somebody, and I've had multiple captains of the team that have all been incredible and are still incredible. But as far as designating somebody, I go off my gut feel and watching the team interact with them. They're showing up, they're doing the work, they're not looking for all the glitz and glam. They care about the individual athletes. They're curious, they know the team. They know them not at surface level, but they know them, right? They care about them. And I think that holds true on the adult side too, and how I approach leadership with my athletes.
Hey everyone, welcome to Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis Brothers, where we aim to share real stories about running a successful family business, working through adversity, and pouring back into the community that keeps our door open. We're your hosts, Matt, Shelby, and Taylor, and we bring you relevant local business advice and automotive insights that are sure to change the way you look at running a business, and maybe even throw in a plug for you to do business with us. Welcome into Crossroad Conversations, episode 72. Okay. And we're still on our fitness kick. As you can see, we got another guest in the studio today. Shawn's here with us, and I can't wait to dive in to all his wisdom and knowledge around everything for decades for fitness, and to bring you guys value on how to be a better version of yourself, whether it's in your business, at home, or everybody else that you influence.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and before we go any further, if you haven't already, go check out episode 71. Taylor and I did a breakdown of a year in review. What we learned, what worked, what didn't work, what we would do differently. We kind of opened up the whole case to say, hey, we messed up in these areas. So that's a cool one that we highly encourage you to go check out.
Yeah, it was big of diving into there and showing different parts that you can be vulnerable about with being a business owner.
Yeah.
So what we drive this week, what's in the garage? We walked over here, but what's in the garage, talking about New Year, kicking it off. I've got to talk about the Mavericks. We talk about that all the time, but the Maverick, bringing it in, that it's got the most optimal space for what makes sense, but it's got, what I love is the adventure side of a trimmer, or the savings side of one starting at only $25,000.
Taylor's talking about Maverick because I made him get out of his F-150 and drive a Maverick. And he says he fits in it just fine, but it's like Shaquille O'Neal. I think he had to take the front seat out, and he said his kid's feet are dangling over his head, kicking him in the back. But
you know what I love hearing about the Maverick is the success stories, and it's like the same thing on repeat. You'll get a business owner in here, and they're like, hey, I need something for my inspectors or my safety inspectors or quality controller, my estimators to get in. They don't really haul a whole lot. You got something that's fuel efficient, but we could put their gear in.
Yeah.
And like, well, check this Maverick out. Get up to almost 40 miles per gallon in it. It gets in and out of places. It's affordable, and their employees love it.
Their employees love it. Matt's talking about a really good customer of ours in the masonry world, and he came into me. He was like, Taylor, I want F-150s, I want 250s, and I was like, no, look at this for what you're doing. Makes the most sense, but if that doesn't work for you, we've got all other ranges of vehicles.
We sure do. Okay, this is an exciting episode because we've got Shawn in the house with us today from Arkansas Track Club. And let me read this bio to you, just in case you were wondering if we brought somebody with some credentials. Shawn's got over 2 decades of coaching athletes at all levels, from kids to elite professionals. He holds a long list of certifications, including USATF Level 3 Elite, World Athletics Level 5 Elite, USAC Level 2 and Level 2 Elite, has a bachelor's in biology and biochemistry, and a master's in leadership and ethics, and is currently finishing up his PhD in exercise science and his license as a registered dietitian. Shawn, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet.
Good night. Hey, if you had medals or badges for that, your whole sleeve would be covered.
Let me stand up, sir.
Yeah.
Too much free time, guys. Too much free time.
Good night. That's solid. Shawn's always a fun one if we go for a run or something, to drag him through it, or he drags us through it. And it's like, hey, I always ask random off the wall. Like, if you see me, Matt is so intense in his
nutrition,
grams and carbs per hour, and Shawn geeks out on that. I'm like, hey guys, will you toss me a honey bun? And I was like, hey, what do you think? Hey, Shawn, do you like those patches? About every third run, I was like, hey, do you like those patches of Gatorade? He's like, those are trash. and so I just throw the random, Matt's total geeked out and going over the details. So it was good to bring Shawn in to.
It's funny you say that because on some of these runs, and we'll get into Shawn, but I don't know, thousands of miles we've ran together now, and some long overnights. So the stories are good. And I'm like, Shelby, you're going to have to get into the details if you want to pass some time. We've got hours, not minutes. I'm like, hey, what's your carb count looking at? Hey, Shawn, what do you think about this? And he's always got, in depth. So we wanted to bring you guys, some relevant information with somebody that has over decades. Has it been 20 plus years now?
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Been exclusively coaching. So almost 2 full decades.
Almost 2 full decades, from all the different sports. But
yeah.
Let's go backwards. What got you started there?
Awesome. So it is going back a minute. So when I finished playing college soccer, I was trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but what did I want to do? And I wanted to be competitive. I wanted to stay fit. So I was like, triathlon's becoming a thing. This was early 2000s. And so I started doing triathlon and realized I can't swim at all. And I'm like a drowning rat. So I essentially go look for any coach that can help me. And I go talk to a bunch of club coaches and I get the same general response. Dude, you're too old. You should have started when you were a kid. You'll never get the mechanics. You'll never be able to swim at the quality you want. And I was like, whatever. That's a driving force to me, probably to a lot of people, is tell them you can't. And so I started diving into the nuance of swim development and became successful. And then that led people to ask me to coach them. And that led into triathlon coaching. And then I was randomly drove out to Colorado for my first coaching clinic at USA Triathlon. And been going ever since.
That's pretty funny because Shawn taught us triathlon and how to, that was the first kind of, we ran into Shawn and we were not natural descendants of Michael Phelps.
Oh no, this is how we were going through the water.
Yeah, Matt was, his form was, he was trying to overstructure it and look like a beached whale. Not good, right? It's funny, so Shawn, we didn't know that Shawn had no clue, but then really, he said, hey, you need to buy this stuff, right? And so he had these bags. I still have
gear, yeah.
Of all
these days I'm getting back to it.
The swim buoy and the paddles. Those things I want to light on fire, the paddles.
Me too, actually.
I think I skipped them about every time they came up in my workout. But just of learning that. So I love that. That's an example. Just because maybe they said you're too old or because you don't have any history doesn't mean, give up.
Yeah.
I think, and you're going to hear this theme as we get farther in depth talking to Shawn today, but one of the things that I see on repeat for as long as we've known you, and even starting with that, is anytime you had an area that you needed to learn on, you went out and you seeked a professional.
I did.
You found somebody that knew more than you, that had the credentials to back it up, to learn from before you were going to pour into others.
Always try to. Going back to my undergrad education, biochem was my favorite area because it was like finally at this culmination of these degrees and these classes, I felt like it actually answered questions.
Okay.
And it becomes very mechanistic, and that's essentially how I think. So before I ever gave anybody any surface level advice, I always felt like I needed to fully understand what was happening to the best of my ability, which is what have always drove me back to school or further into literature or seeking mentor coaches or whatever.
I think that's really important in today's society, and there's some great things about the access to information that we have. Whether it's podcast or it's social platforms or if it's literature out there to read, but you got to slow down just a second and just validate and check before you just go put a workout in or do this or that somebody's advising, because they may not have gone through this same path that you did to make sure that it's relevant, real information that you're providing people.
Yeah, it can be, it gets more and more confusing, I think, all the time with the influx of touch points where we get information. Social media, things, podcasts, whatever.
Yeah.
It's rampant with good information and bad information. So being able to distinguish between the two is it's not always easy.
So you seek out somebody to teach you how to swim.
Yep.
Okay, to teach you how to swim because you're like, maybe I should do a triathlon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you pick to do a triathlon? You come from soccer.
Yep.
Very successful in soccer.
Yep.
Then it's like triathlon, but why?
Running was boring at the time, just running. I wanted
Okay.
something exciting. And I liked riding bikes.
Okay.
It's funny because I run a lot now, right?
Yeah, I
But
know.
evolved back to running. I don't know. It was just new and upcoming. It was exciting. So it seemed like a good challenge and proved to be a good challenge. I did a couple before I started working with anybody to coach me. And I would come out of the water like in last place. And then it was a race to even catch anybody. So, and then by the time I got to the run, I couldn't run for squat. So I figured out I'm doing something wrong.
Isn't that the path a lot of us have, though, just in life in general, is we're like, no, we can figure this out, maybe especially men. Like, hey,
Probably.
we can figure this out until we just get whipped.
Yes.
And then they're like, maybe I should seek somebody out that knows more than I do.
Or it's like the idea of instructions, right? Men throw the instructions away
I got this.
until they've put the whole thing together, and then it's backwards and the holes aren't lining up, and they're just like, ugh. So, I mean, you might run and race a couple times or work out a good amount of times, and you're like, someone has got this figured out better than I do, and it's worthwhile.
Because how far did that catapult you once you reached out for your first certification, actually learn the technique and the science behind it?
I mean, I've been coaching ever since. So, and it's grown every year. So, going to the first certification, I actually met my first business partner on that trip, and we formulated our mission, vision, values of that company and started that company as soon as we got back. So it's been nothing but accelerated since. And then the evolution of learning to swim and learning to coach swim was ongoing for a lot of years, and going through various mentor coaches from Olympic Training Center, resident swim coaches that I worked with, to online people and people I found in various other platforms.
So you do the triathlons and you started kind of get this bug of coaching. All right. So then when does the kids program come in next?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the beginning of triathlon coaching was essentially coaching a lot of newbies like myself, going from couch to Ironman almost. So we were very successful, my business partner and I. And then I would get a handful of athletes that were like post-collegiate like myself, very competitive. And I found that that's what I really liked.
Okay.
Was not necessarily the couch to true beginner, but somebody that they could still be beginner, but they had this competitive desire to do work and drive and evolve. That led me into, I got some kids, some like high school age kids, and they were very successful. And then I found like that was really fun, really interesting. So we launched a new team, and that became my passion. And I actually sold that side of that business and started the other one with just kids, which was a whole new experience.
It was a whole new experience and a lot of success there as well. The amount of kids that you found in would you call it the mid distance?
Yeah. So Triple Threat, which is what Arkansas Track Club is part of, started as triathlon, and we were competitive nationally. We're one of the first 20 youth and junior elite teams in the country. The problem I ran in there, and just to move forward, the evolution of Arkansas Track Club, is I would get all these kids and they would be very successful. We'd make national championship and we'd qualify, we'd do really well. But there was nowhere to go in college. There was no college out, like what's next once they graduate. And so most of them would go swim or run in college, and some just go to college, and that was frustrating. So that's what led to track and field and Arkansas Track Club, because then there was an outlet. Where do we go next? Running.
Okay.
Right. So it was a simple evolution that made sense, as well as the barrier to entry was smaller for running versus triathlon. So it was easier to get more kids and grow the team.
I think too, the access that you gave, especially high school kids, and do give high school kids to take that next level, and to give them the foundation, and the skill set they need to then go at whatever level at a college or junior college or whatever it may be, to continue success with not only education but athletics.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best part about the youth program, or Arkansas Track Club, like we call it the junior team, is the relationships you form with these kids. And like I have kids now that are surgeons, which is wild. A lot of doctors, they're in grad school. They're coming back from school and graduate, like I have a guy who runs for our elite team right now that went to Western and ran, and now he's back with me again. And so it's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Those evolving relationships.
I think when we've talked to different people in the fitness world, especially running or people we've interviewed, there's a correlation to people that want to be a better version of themselves, or they're athletic and competitive, to then what their occupation is. Whether it's business leaders or doctors, and I don't know if you see the same.
Probably. I mean, from the youth side, I'd probably tie it to academics. With runners, you see a very disciplined group.
Okay.
That if they're successful runners tend to be very type A and disciplined. Like they care about the nuance and they get it done. And you see that translate over into academics as well. So they tend to have a higher GPA, very successful, and they are successful in college and down the chain as well. And I think you see the same thing in adults. From the adults I coach is very driven, dedicated, get the work done. They're also very successful in their professional careers.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now from the kids, then we start integrating back in some adults.
Yep.
Whether it's post-collegiate or other people farther on in their life. And, you know, a little bit of triathlon, but then more into running. And then that's when, you know, Shelby and I got you kind of on our journey of triathlons, and then we got more into running. So how'd you layer that part in?
The transition of like adults and
yeah, getting the adults and then the ultra world too. We'll start talking about that.
yeah, you know, great question. I think it's kind of followed my own interest.
Yeah.
As far as like I got tired of triathlon. Triathlon specifically, and then with bringing in adults, it just seemed natural. And from a business standpoint, you know, having diversity, right? Having a youth program that's kind of set on itself, and then an adults, and then an elite team, it brings stability to the company from a business standpoint. And then from a coaching standpoint, adults and kids share physiology, but kids aren't many adults. They're different. So that keeps me interested.
Okay.
And then the adult side is, you know, you have different problems you're trying to solve. From they deal with family, they deal with business lives and schedules and all those things. So I think personally, the different challenges are interesting, trying to solve problems.
Question for you on coaching, because I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but how do you quiet down some of the noise of all the influence that people may be exposed to? You know, if they saw a video on TikTok or they saw a YouTube deal and they're just saying, hey, coach, what about this? What about that? How do you quiet that down and have them stay the course?
Like when an athlete brings it to me?
Yeah.
It depends on what it is.
Okay.
But generally, I like to address things like that with evidence or intrigue. Like if somebody brings me something, if you brought me something you saw on TikTok and you're like, this is going to be the next greatest thing, I have to do this. I wouldn't dismiss it because I'm genuinely curious.
Sure.
So I would think about it. We'd talk about it. I'd look into evidence. You know, I live in a PhD world where everything is, I'm looking at research and evidence and drilling down on like the why all the time. So I think with just a candid conversation, why are you interested in it? What do you think it's going to do? How do we think it's going to work? What do we know from research that's been done? And are athletes doing this? Just because it's not shown in evidence perfectly right now doesn't mean it's not true.
Sure.
So to me, it's also a great way to lead into research. A lot of research follows what's happening in the real world versus the other way around, because coaches are out there on the front ends doing things with high level athletes and they're successful and they're doing these things. It's really interesting. So I try to lead with, like, from a development standpoint, we need to do what we know works, and fundamentals are where it's at from a development standpoint. But we can trickle in these ideas and play with them.
Okay.
And as long as we monitor and manage, we can avoid maladaptation or other issues and play with it.
How do you keep people focused when you're working on the fundamentals and they want to do something different? Because, you know, building that block by block sometime isn't the most exciting thing.
Yeah, it's not. And that's something I talk about often. You know, like the elite athletes I coach, an elite program oftentimes is very fundamental and basic and not sexy at all. Like it's a repetition of the same thing. Whereas if you get a new person, they may think, I need all these new, different, sexy, you know, I need to band myself to these bars 17 different ways and try and balance on something. and cool, but like it depends. If you want good adaptation from a physiology standpoint, we know what works. Doesn't mean we can't band you 17 ways, but like maybe we need to nail down the foundation first.
Sure.
And then layer on these things you want to try. But it's really hard because there's an entertainment value is what I would call it. And then like what we know works. And the goal is to try and weave them together, right? Because if you do the exact same thing every day, day in, day out, you're going to improve as long as that's progressing.
Sure.
However, it's not going to be the most fun.
Yeah.
So there's ways to accommodate both.
That makes a whole lot of sense of just being able to build those block by block, every single day than to get the success out of there. And then, then just being able to tie in the leadership role too. I'm sure you've seen, because I've seen you designate different people on the team as a leadership role on trying to lead the different parts of the team. So how do you incorporate that in, and what do you see from success from that?
Well, leadership to me is all relationships. It's, a lot, it depends how you define leadership. But as far as from the youth team, what I look for in a leader is somebody that's doing it without the designation. Like they're the de facto leader. People look to them. Sometimes it correlates to like who's the fastest, but that is absolutely not a requirement to be the leader. Leader is somebody, and I've had multiple captains of the team that have all been incredible and are still incredible. But as far as designating somebody, I go off my gut feel and watching the team interact with them. They're showing up, they're doing the work, they're not looking for all the glitz and glam. They care about the individual athletes. They're curious, they know the team. They know them not at surface level, but they know them, right? They care about them. And I think that holds true on the adult side too, and how I approach leadership with my athletes is like, it's a trust thing first. Sure. We have to trust each other and know that my intentions are the best intentions. My goals are for you to get your goals, right? So we're very aligned, and that takes time.
That does take time.
I think it takes the longest with the post-collegiates to develop that relationship, but it's not easy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good for sure.
All right, real quick, myth or fact, okay? Quick answer without breaking it down. You have to focus on one thing to succeed. Myth or fact?
It's on myth.
Okay, all right. Busy means you're making progress.
No.
Okay?
Nailed it.
If it's hard, you're doing it wrong.
No. Some things are just hard and you have to do them anyway.
Right? Okay. That was quick and easy, just rolling through there, myth or fact. All right, so running multiple roles without losing yourself, like that,
it's hard.
That's a tricky thing of wearing multiple different hats, and some people that you're coaching are going through this, and some part of your business is growing to do that. So we just want to kind of break that down and see your thoughts and feelings to that. How do you decide what deserves your best energy, whether it's coaching or business running or whatever it is?
Yeah, that's hard. And something I am constantly evaluating, because I wear a lot of hats right now, because I did go back to school. I've run these businesses for a long time. We've been very successful. A lot of people have been like, why did you go back to school? Which is a valid question. But so like trying to balance, my touch points with my athletes, practice times with the youth, research in the lab at the university, or various other aspects. I break it down to me, I prioritize the relationship side of each thing first, meaning these athletes have hired me or are working with me because they've chosen to, and I've chosen to work with them. So there's an obligation to give it my best.
Yeah.
The research and school side is something that I've chosen to do. It doesn't impact those. It enhances those. But it's all about being deliberate with your time. And I set priorities based on the human aspect, I think.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So
Don't have a perfect answer prepared.
No. That's totally right. So you say the human aspect. So are most of your athletes still using TrainingPeaks or something?
Yeah.
Okay. So TrainingPeaks, walk that through a little bit of what that looks like.
Yeah. So TrainingPeaks is an online platform that we utilize for program design and communication and data analysis. So it has an app and it's a desktop, and I build the program in there, and then the athlete can see that and does their workout. If they have a smartwatch like we all do, it can log it. It'll give me a ton of data, as well as I can log notes, I can leave notes. So it's just a technology aspect of coaching that gives good connection.
Yeah. So what I've learned about TrainingPeaks and being on and off of it, it allows you to be a nerd of a coach, of really be into running, biking, or swimming based on a certain metric of exertion or feel or in this zone. And so then you get to put it into layman's terms, but then the technology allows that to translate over. And so then that's where the athlete, a lot of type A mentality people, get to go run that training, and then it reports back to it. And then that's probably where you get to check back in and put some energy. Hey, how'd your run feel? I saw your file. Like, hey, that was a big effort. How was the swim? Whatever it was, to the kids. Do you see that a lot, that there's conversation over?
Yeah, I mean, it's athlete dependent. Some athletes are super into it and want to talk about it all the time. Other athletes like tell them like, "Shut up, Shawn."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I got
okay?
it done. Yeah.
I got it done.
So it's very athlete dependent, but yet, I mean, it is there and it's a great tool. And, you know, with some data is really important on an acute setting. So like in the immediate, most of that data is good chronically, like over time.
Yeah.
So it is a very good tool.
Well, I know my watch would keep beeping when you would write the thing in TrainingPeaks that I wasn't going fast enough. I don't know what the rest of it showed, but I was like, Shelby, we're not in the zone right now.
I
We
can't
gotta
go
move
any
up.
faster. I can't
Shawn,
go
I
any
don't.
faster.
You put this number in here, and
So
I'm not.
that was the
physically-
difference of I'm getting out there, getting it, giving it the best I can. And I would generally, like 5 minutes before it was time, I would look at it as like, oh, this is going to suck. I just thought we had 10 miles, but this is 10 miles pretty hard. And I was like, all right, well, good luck to you. I'm going left, you go right. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Nope.
you go this way.
Come on.
It was where Matt was nerding out on details. It's like, 6:15 to 6:45. I was like, yeah, I'll see you tonight at 6:15 or 6:45. I was like, no, running, go. And I was like, well, and so then Matt would have the data, send it back over. He's like, how's yours look? I was like, oh, it was amazing. He's like, did you even save it? It's like, I don't know.
Whoops.
I was like, got it done. So there's definitely personality of all the metrics, but of it, and the fitness apps have learned this, right? Whether it's a Garmin or it's a Strava or a TrainingPeaks. TrainingPeaks is by far has the most, we'll call it biometric, I'm gonna be wrong, but
Metrics.
all the data of the metrics. Strava makes it more of a social style file, but it gets like a fitness and a freshness or whatever it is, but it gives you that longevity to see, am I getting better or am I just beating my head up against the wall and not getting any better, you know? And we definitely see that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of across the
It can help.
board.
You got to remember though, like data is only as good as the data, right? Or interpretation.
Yeah.
How much data you have. Almost everybody probably has their Garmin tell them they're unproductive or whatever it is on a daily basis, right? And that's only using the data it has, right? It's algorithms and math. Those make sense on a big population level, but it may not make sense on the acute to you. So, you know, it could say your fitness is improving, but it has, you know, or your fitness is not improving, but you only wear your watch at XYZ.
Yeah.
So I'd say take all of the things with a grain of salt and always take a big picture, 30,000 foot view. And how do you feel?
Yeah.
Like there's really no better metric than your perception. Like how are you feeling? How are your clothes fitting if there's goals like that? How are you running? You know, how are your local routes that you do on a regular basis? How do they feel by comparison to what you normally do? These are all very good metrics.
That's a lot of like seat of the pants. How do you feel? You know, how did it feel? You know, like we've ran that same route or we've ran that same pace and that distance. Was it easier? Was it harder? What did you run the day before, the day before, the day before that? You know, and figuring that in. Because the two, you know, in our long conversations of nerding out or just counting the trees, you know, we've talked about heart rate sensors, you know, and like the wrist and how well it does versus the chest strap, and we've gone down the rabbit holes of all, you know, it's just like, well, it's not constant in this, and this is only so good, and heart rate variability and all these things that, you know, so you're right, it's just a kind of it's way more than we've ever had, right? You know, this industry continues, but they're trying to sell something, you know, so they're giving you all types of variability that maybe or may not, you know, it'll give you race predictors of 5K, 10K, and sometimes I laugh because they were way off in one direction. Sometimes I laugh because there's no way in that direction, right? You know, and it's told just an algorithm.
Yeah, it can be wildly accurate or completely off. Kind of like a broken clock, right? It's accurate twice a day.
I love that. What systems do you use in business as coaching to keep things from falling apart with all the hats going? What systems or processes do you use?
I use a notebook.
Okay. And I was going to
Old
ask,
school.
because technology is a notebook.
Sure.
So notebook, you're just keeping track of what needs to be done. And
I keep like a running list that it evolves into the next day, high level, month, and then like, what am I doing this day? Did I get it done? Not X, or move it to the next day. So it's kind of a constant rolling thing. But I've tried a whole bunch of different things over the years, and a simple notebook and pen is what
oftentimes it's just the shoe that fits,
Yeah.
right? Everyone has a different theory, and you have to try them to know,
Yeah.
because one of them might be like, hey, why have I been missing this, right? But you find what works. And
I think that's important, because there's so much stuff out there and everybody's passionate, just like we are, of like, no, you got to do it this way, this way it works. There's different paths to the top of the mountain.
100%.
And some people love it on their phone, and some people want to write it down.
Yeah.
And like, you're not going to find my dad putting something in his phone.
Yeah.
He's going to have what he calls his Big Chief tablet, and he's been wildly successful with that.
Heck yeah.
And I remember early on, Shelby, I don't know if you remember this conversation. We might have been at your house doing, I don't know if it was a VO2 max or a FTP test or something. And we asked you, like, hey, what's the best shoe to run in?
Oh yeah.
And you're like, well, it's independent to each person.
Yeah.
And, probably what works for me is not going to work for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing when you're talking about how do you structure yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Same with like program design. Just because, I write your program doesn't mean Bob down the road can't write a program for you and he has zero education, he's a farmer or something, and you might get better results.
Yeah.
Like unlikely statistically, right? There's nuance, but like I'm saying, there's multiple ways for things to be done in all areas.
So how do you think, whether it be you or your coaches or people that you've used in the business, how do you keep them from burning out when juggling all the roles?
I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Right?
Yeah. Our coaches that work for our team love it. And the coaches we have are youth coaches. So one, we have a constant evolution of new kids. Mm-hmm. So there's new personalities a lot. And then it's also like, you get to see these kids grow and develop and change. And it happens at a fast rate. Kids change fast. They adapt fast, right? I will do something with my own son one night and I will be sore. He will not be sore. And he worked harder. So their ability to adapt is fast. So seeing that, I think, keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
And then also the relationships you build, because our kids oftentimes, like if spring break or summer break, we'll have 15 college runners show up at our practice because they're all back in town.
Yeah.
And they're connected to the program still. So I think our coaches love what they do. Not just the performance side, but like the getting to know the kids, the families, all of that.
I think some of that comes too, and you might talk about, like when you put in, it's not like, hey, I'm hiring you as a coach today, and okay, we're going to run every single day, and we're just never going to stop that.
Yeah.
You've got different blocks and different phases and ways to keep it interesting to help avoid the burnout.
Yeah. It evolves, and we have, with the youth program, there's 3 different seasons: cross country, indoor, and outdoor. One year we may go coast to coast, east, west, north, south for traveling to events, to national huge caliber events. Another year we may stay completely local just because the cohort of kids we have, like and where they are. So we get to travel a lot. We're all over the country often. So that keeps it exciting. And we've won national championships. We have all Americans. We get, there is a lot of things happening. And as well, the coaches are also tied and connected to our elite team, which are racing all over the country and doing other exciting things. So there's a lot of change and variety, and it's performance-based, so there's outcomes, and that's really fun.
And that's one of those things, that their seasons or there's certain events or that they're chasing, right, as elites. And if you get a midlife crisis style person, they're just like, hey, I need to be better, a better version of myself, or hey, I want to race an Ironman. You have to realize there's a finish line there, right? It's not just an ongoing thing. And so then after that event, they've trained for that event, of however long they train, then there's an evaluation probably from your standpoint, say, what's next?
Yep. Yeah, and I think this is good advice for coaching and maybe for all things. But some mentor coaches I had back in the day, would always tell me, like, think through your program, what you want to do with athlete or team, execute it. Monitor, evaluate, and then after the fact, go back and evaluate what worked, what didn't, how did it work, how did it come, what did the athlete take away. Really evaluate the big picture, so you can constantly learn and do things. And too often, I think in the coaching world anyway, you start with this plan and then all this other noise comes in and you start making all these changes and it gets wild, and then you don't know what worked and what didn't because it became messy. But yes, end of the season, it is what's next. And I think it's happened countless times. Athlete comes to me and like, I just want to do an Ironman. I want to get it done and I want to never do it again. was like, okay, cool, let's do it. We do it, and then I have that athlete for 10 years.
Yeah.
I was going to say something happens between, and you got to start with one goal, right?
Yeah.
But you fall in love, or you like the discipline that comes from it, or the habits that you've created from it. And it might be they say, I want to do an Ironman to, okay, I love that, but give me shorter, let's do a half Ironman, or let's find the next thing, right? Let's switch to ultra, or let's go to, short distance, or whatever it might be. But they've kind of created a new habit. It's probably very rare that they're one and done.
It is very rare in my experience. And oftentimes that next goal, usually the first goal is like a completion task.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, I did that better than I thought. Maybe I'm capable of more. And then it's like, maybe it's a time-bound goal, or a position goal, or a certain super hard course, or it may evolve into a new line of endurance performance. But it does tend to evolve into something. And I think you're absolutely right, is that you've seen the outcomes of this consistent work, which does translate into everything, right? So consistency over time is going to yield great results. And those habituation or habit forming, I think even in research, you're going to see that's psychologically benefiting, and it's going to bleed out into all of life, to kids, family, work,
all of it,
yourself.
I think first of all, we need to back up here. Did we go through a midlife crisis? Is that what you're saying?
Is that what happened?
Is that what you're saying?
Is that why we're all here?
I gotta back up there. You kind of threw that in there.
No, that's just what I called it.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know, whatever. People would say that, and the reason I say that is because whether you're trying to qualify for Boston, which we haven't, right? And we joked about that early on.
Sure.
Sounds like that's next.
That,
You just admitted it.
That we're going to have to wait till we get older to be able to qualify. But the problem was, because we were in two different age categories for triathlon, because all the local triathlons were generally a 5-year difference, and then some of them get into 10-year difference. And so you would almost make it, and like these young whippersnackers don't have to train so hard. They just are physically fit and can do it. Well, then Matt was like, well, it's not so easy over here, because you have these people in their type A mentality. They work hard, they're very scheduled, and so they're putting in the work, and when they do it, they're very structured. And this is not a lot, but it was at the level that we were trying to be at.
Sure.
And so it's like, well, crap, we're going to have to really be older and really be more dedicated. It wasn't lack of dedication, it was lack of genetics of being athletic, right? It was just at this point just pure hard work and just but I guess, I don't know, we just went through it.
But I think, Shawn, you said that just a minute ago about, like, they all start off with, I just want to complete this. And then it's almost like something unlocks in their brain. And whether it's that they really like how they look or how they feel or how their cognitive is or who they've become, they're like, I kind of like this. Now let me use this next goal to keep that going.
Yeah, I think so. And there is, I mean, you take an adult and they go from being pretty sedentary or normally active, and then you change these habits over time. There's a lot of change that happens from a physiology standpoint, from a brain standpoint to cardiovascular adaptations to muscular to everything. Like, and they start changing immediately. You go out for a run today and you've never run. Things start changing. Like they do.
Certainly.
You get an immediate acute change. Like things start adapting. Body's amazing.
And I think a point of that, we're sitting in the middle of a gym here.
Yeah.
Where we spent a good amount of money to put it at work.
Yeah.
Not just because we wanted to work out at it, but we understood and we've seen through personal journeys that if people will just work out whatever the form may be, they'll be better versions of themselves, and they can be better at work, and they're better cognitive, and they're better at home, and they're better leaders.
Yeah. 100% agree.
We never really talked about that or fully unpacked it on a podcast, but selfishly, we built this gym because we wanted it. Right?
Sure.
We had at our other location, we had an old rent house that had become vacant.
Shawn was there.
Shawn's been there. We did some F2P testing, some VO2 max testing in the garage. So we knocked out some walls. We were like, hey, Dad, you got the keys to that house over there? Nobody's living there. So we started knocking out walls.
Whoa!
We were training for triathlon, which majority of bike training for triathlon was on a trainer. We drug Taylor into it. It was right across the street. We were selling like this is the greatest thing in the world, and this is this old 1950s house. And put speakers in it and TVs in it, and it built the relationship of people working together and people working hard to be a better version of themselves. So then came time to build this, and selfishly it was like, hey, we need this. And so put it on the second story with a good view. And it's like, man, that simple change in perspective of being a better person changed a whole lot. Otherwise, this would be offices. Like, this is expensive square footage.
Yeah.
This would be office, but it just completely changed the offering for people to be able to have this, to find that better version of themselves. You know, and that was the midlife crisis, I guess.
I'm sure you guys will see it, but like, and probably felt it, and I have, you know, going through roller coasters of times when you're fit, unfit, or less fit.
Yeah.
How you feel is different, right? I like to think about it in like the middle of an ultra, when at the beginning of the ultra, you're like, this is a great idea. And you have all this clarity, and then we know we get into the meeting.
What happens?
And it changes. That's similar how I feel when, you know, like this super fatigue and all these things.
Yeah.
And when I'm not training and exercising on a regular basis, I get this dull like level of fatigue and cognitive fog, and like life is just harder.
Yeah.
There's not as much clarity that comes when I'm regularly exercising.
I think that's tough, and I know it's been tough for me before, but then when I challenge myself to do it is you battle with this time element. And you're like, well, no, but my team needs me, and I don't have time to go do a 45-minute workout or whatever it may be. But the day you force yourself to do it, you come back to your team a better, clearer version.
Yeah, I agree. I deal with that with a lot of adults. Is like, I don't have time to do this. I can't do this. So finding that and getting that ball rolling is an important step and a hard step. And it goes as much as like, I'll be like, let's consistently go out the door and run 1 minute, walk 3 minutes for 10 minutes. And then let's do it again. And it just like, get the snowball rolling. Whatever it is, get the ball rolling, moving forward so that something is happening on a regular basis. And then we can start to evolve it. Because like I said, you go out and do something physically challenging to any degree, things are going to start changing physiology-wise. So that start and snowball, and you come back as a better version of yourself. And I think that's important.
That is important. No, I'd agree for sure.
All right, so leadership, thought, and tie-in. Leaders don't do more, they decide better. What's your thought or feeling on that?
Say that again?
Leaders don't do more, they decide better.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, in leadership, you're making decisions, but I think it's hard to speak on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be context specific.
Most specifically, you know, like it's going to depend what are we talking about, but it's not always saying that, hey, leaders just do more, like they're better because they do more.
Yeah.
I think it's saying that they make decisions to what they're doing and how well they do them. That's my thought and feeling on it. That it's not necessarily in
just
general,
because you do the most doesn't distinct you.
Correct.
Make you.
But I think we all probably, I know as a leader, at first, I just did more.
Yeah.
Until you hit a capacity. And then so I would say the more mature or the person that's been in leadership even longer, they evolve to the next stage of deciding better.
Yeah.
Because their plate's gotten so full.
Yeah.
And I think we learned that because the first thing that Shawn trained us for, we were at marathon training. That was Route 66, and we just jumped on there was no coaching to be had really before, because I think we were
maybe a month or
something. You know, he's like, hey,
probably like, whatever, boys, let's go send it.
Hey, what's your goal? Okay, move it up a little bit. But then it became like, hey, we were just doing this, and this, and he's like, I'm really going to be specific and not just go run 10 miles.
Yeah,
you can go run 7 miles. So that was the idea of not doing as much, but within that, I remember the blocks of a 15 or 17 mile run. That it was warm up, and then you got to 5 miles locked in at this pace. And I remember running from Farmington all the way over and getting to Weddington, and I was like, hey, gas station, I need to stop and use the bathroom. It's like the old school, I need to tie my shoe. I was like, no, I really need to use the bathroom. But then I knew, I was like, my watch is going to tell me, because I didn't even have to look at the workout, because it would just tell me on my watch. I'm like, better turn it up, turn it down. When do we get to turn it down again? I was like, it's a 5 mile block. Holy shnikes. But that was a very specific thing of not doing necessarily more, but being very more surgical or intentional about that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way of putting it. When I think about training, that's really why people hire me. It's like, I know how to go run. We all can go outside and run.
Sure.
But what should I run so that I can maximize my return on my time?
Yeah.
So
same thing in swimming. It wasn't like go swim 3,500 meters. It was 100 at a time.
All these details. Yeah.
That's good.
Made the difference.
All right, we got some questions here.
Absolutely. So we got each person is going to answer this. We're going to go through. So one daily non-negotiable habit can not fitness specific, but one daily non-negotiable habit you got to do every day.
Not fitness specific.
It can be if you want to relate that to it. If it has something that's how you wake up in the morning, just one go-to that I ask you, what would be your one that pops up in your head that happens every single day?
Sauna, cold plunge, quiet time.
Okay.
Nice. Coffee. That was easy.
Yeah, it depends on life. You know,
I know.
For a year, it was run a mile every single day.
Yeah.
For another year, it was cold plunge every day. Have a positive mindset. It's always been have a positive mindset.
Yeah.
That's good.
A lot of people hate on that of like, okay, no, just be real for a second. In any situation, if something's gone real bad, my shoes are blown out, it's like, oh yeah, well my socks feel nice, and so it's the goal to have a positive mindset.
No, that's good.
That's really important.
Yeah, and it's one of those things we talk about in business of being solution based.
I love that.
And it's like, we can't determine what's going to come at us today. We can just determine how we respond.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we can find a solution with any of it.
Yeah.
But you got to calm the part of your mind down, be able to think logically to find that solution.
That's the biggest driver, and we just finished, I guess, a week or two ago, ABF trail marathon.
Yeah.
Right, the three of us went out and ran that, and that's just it's a super hard marathon. It's I'm gonna say the hardest marathon in America. It's a trail marathon, 27 miles, over 8 mountains, and then back over 8 mountains, over 7,000 feet of elevation gain. And we've all done it multiple times, right? It's never easy.
Never easy.
Right, it is never easy, and you can't change the course.
Super technical.
So technical. It's been snowy. It's been raining and freezing, and then it's been warmer. But it's just like you beat your legs up, you beat your legs down. You got to figure out how to eat during this thing, and so in those you just figure it out, right, and find that option for a positive mindset. And enjoy the hurt and just hammer down.
Yeah. I will say a call out, Shawn, you'd be proud of this. At ABF, on the way back, Shelby was reviewing his nutrition plan that he had done.
Nice.
He was really, and it was like, he was really talking about it. He was excited about how many carbs he took in.
I don't know the numbers.
And all the stuff.
I just know
and he was just like, hey, let me tell you guys something.
Oh yeah, I felt great. That's why I was going over it, because generally Matt's peeling me off the floor of like, you didn't eat enough. And I was like, yeah, Captain Obvious. I don't want any of your scientific goo or gel or stuff. It's just like, you just figure out what works with the gut while you're moving. And so then it did work, because when it doesn't work, I'm like, I didn't eat anything. And he's like, yeah, I could tell because you were glued to the floor for a while. So I was reviewing it because it worked.
Heck yeah. That's important.
It is important.
Cars run better with gas, right?
They do. They do.
So you're similar.
You'll absolutely, drove down to that. Yes, premium fuel. Don't put crap into your body. It's not good. It's not good. One thing you have to protect no matter what. If there's something you're going into, whether it be of doing something every day, obviously that's your habit that you have, but one thing you have to protect no matter how busy you get in life.
Yeah.
What would you say that is?
I'm gonna go back to your mindset, and
I think that's
you have to right here. Like the number one thing I'll say: stop trying to please others.
Yeah.
I've referenced it before, but the Deion Sanders says, "What makes you think that I care about what other people think about me?"
Yeah.
I could care less, right? And if you can get in that mindset to protect your mindset, and if it is to be, it's up to me, and I get to control the outcome of things. So if you can protect that, no matter what, you're going to be the best version that you can be.
Yeah.
I think so. And I think, just being able to, like, even starting in the morning, because, like, nobody, like,
maybe y'all do, I don't, just jump out of bed in the morning and say, man, I cannot wait to go run 15 miles today.
Never. I never.
You know?
Never
But it's
have.
like you just reprogram your mind. Okay, I just got to get out of bed. Let me go pour my cup of coffee. Then when I pour my cup of coffee, then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do that. So yeah, protecting that mindset, it's all got to start there.
Maybe it starts whenever, because, you know, junior little trips about at the age that y'all start going through. I die laughing. 5:30 to 6, I'm up in the mornings now, and it's either because he's let the dogs out and he's like, let's get them going, and it sounds like buffaloes are coming through, or a dinosaur comes up over the edge. It's right beside your head. I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, we're up. We're getting going. So your internal clock starts ticking then, and that's really, I love the mindset because it flips over, because no matter what situation you get thrown into, whether you're coming home, wife and kids are mad, coming home, a bad situation happened, you come back into work, something else has happened. If you're always clear and open, you can make better decisions. You don't make rash decisions, and you're able to really, I feel like, guide the situation a whole lot better if you have that positive mindset.
Agreed.
So that's really good. So Shawn, diving into it, we've talked about how you got into it. Really diving into as far as the nutritional side of it, what's a good advice for somebody that's just starting into it?
Running, training, exercise.
Running, healthy lifestyle, changing something. You know, we kind of talked about just starting.
Yeah.
What's your advice there?
My advice would be pick something small that's achievable and do it, and be consistent with it. It doesn't have. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? You don't have to. If you want to train for a marathon, you don't have to go out and all of a sudden start something epic. You can start with, go run a mile every day. Go run to the mailbox and back every day, but do it every day, or do something every day. It's the consistency is where the magic happens. It's not in one single workout, right? If I train for a marathon and I have one great 20-mile run, but I do nothing else, I'm not going to perform well in that marathon. But if I run 5K every day, I'll perform better than I just doing that one 20-mile run. So, and same goes for nutrition. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be complicated. If you look at your overall diet and if it's not where it should be, or you don't think it should be, what do you think needs to change? Most of Americans, it's like we need to increase our vegetable consumption. So pick some vegetables you like and start incorporating them once a day, like something small. And I would say focus on adding, not subtracting in the diet. Add value, nutrients. I think we think of food too often times, and we immediately just think of weight loss versus health. And I think food needs to be looked at as health. So I think if we focus on like, where can I, in my daily intake or diet, what can I add that adds value? Kind of like if I'm thinking about training, instead of thinking about what can I take away and then from something else that I think will enhance it, versus like go out for a little run. So add a fruit, you know, if your breakfast isn't great, you know, add a banana with it, or something simple. Very simple and doable. That way you get to check the box every day, and that feels really nice.
I like that a lot. That's easy for you to understand, easy for you to follow and be able to add to. And I love the aspect of adding to, necessarily not taking away. Because everybody's very quick to.
Food's awesome. Like, cookies are good. Like, who doesn't like? Enjoy food, moderation, eat your fruits and vegetables. So keep it simple.
That's good.
And it's health.
Well, sorry, you go ahead.
Your body will regulate some too if you start adding to, and you just add the right vegetables and the right fruits. It'll then fill up where you're not hungry anymore to go eat the crap.
You'll offset some, right? If you add some good vegetables, you're adding volume to your stomach. You're going to get better satiety or fullness at various times. So like, you know, it doesn't have to be crazy. I think simple is the best way to start.
I love coming to races, and so any of ones that y'all are involved in, and I just sit back and almost laugh. Not laughing at the whole process, but whenever I see Shawn involved in there and seeing complete polar opposites, you've heard it talking about the whole time. Shelby will just grit and go through it, and I laugh because he's either having a good race that it's working, or it's not good.
But he's still going.
It's not good at all. He's still going.
He's positive.
And I'm proud of him for it. But I can sit back, and especially when all three of these are either going through, one of them's having a really good day. And it's good because they're bringing the other two up. And they're saying, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to do anymore. So it's so important to have that group around you that's going through. But I love hearing about the nutrition. This last one that we were, I don't know, in the woods. When I was walking in the woods at 4 a.m. in the morning, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? This is great. Good to see you. Shawn had circled around me a couple of times. They'd come back in, and Shawn's like, all right, we got to measure this. We got to do that. And I'm like, give me some water, and I'm going to bed or something. But I love, even though I don't pay attention, I don't say anything, I love the over-analyzing of everything and being able to get into there. And that's the fun side of fitness that you get to see, and I enjoy being a part of whenever I'm around any of y'all that love, and that just shows your love for that whole industry that really pours into it. So
I think we got to talk about Taylor's part here too. When we got ready for our first 100, Shawn was helping coach us through this, and we did all types of testing. One of the testing we did is we wore this mask, and you can give the technical terms here in a minute. We wore this mask with this backpack on and tested how our body was using, how many carbs and this and that. We did it at the beginning of this multi-hour run, and then we did it at the end.
Yeah.
So we did actual field testing there instead of on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And got some pretty cool results.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun.
The initial burn was crazy, like 75 grams of carbs an hour. When we first hooked up.
Yeah.
And then after we'd ran a bunch before that, and then that was a 20-mile run.
Yeah.
At the end of it, it had gone down drastically.
It was like 20 or 30.
Yeah.
It was crazy to see the spike, and then it came back down.
It's a really interesting area. But yeah, I live in research labs now, so I have so many questions about what we did, the data. But that was like a mobile metabolic cart or gas exchange.
Yeah, you were on a bike riding beside them while they had this Darth Vader mask on them.
In the middle of the woods.
Yeah, we were in the middle of White Rock, and
on the roads.
It was intense at this point because we had Taylor and Freddie, and we'd set up aid stations where they had to be, and they had to time us in and out, and they had to measure how much liquids we had, and Matt had a whole spreadsheet for Taylor, and Freddie was like, Shelby, what do you want me to measure? It's like, oh, nothing. We're just going to sit over here and act like we're doing something. I was like, I need 2 more Uncrustables and some more Dude Wipes, and I'm good. I was like, refill this. He's like, no, Matt's going to want the data. I said, no, that's for him. I don't need that.
So I think that part of it, we were talking about Taylor, we brought that whole group, and it's really important about who you surround yourself around with. Okay, a great coach, a great support, and then other people doing it with you that can carry you through the lows. That's no different than having a great team.
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to be on 100% of the time, every single 365.
You just can't.
So if you have those right people around you, they give you that jump start.
Yeah.
So then we have our crew, and they go through training too. I don't know if you guys have ever watched NASCAR or Indy or any of that. Those guys are professional athletes that they time them. Well, our professional athletes, we were timing them coming in and out of the aid station, and we beat people that way.
Yeah.
And we did. We had a log, and there was a log for myself, and there was a log for Shelby. I think I put it together. He said thank you, but I don't think he really cared, And it was like, okay,
good
boom, boom,
baseline.
boom, here's the wrappers. How much did you drink? And they logged all that so we could get into specifics. You did the testing for us to figure out where we could get better and how we could get the most out of ourselves individually to have a better outcome.
Yeah. No, that definitely is a fun part. The rules were, even if I say I don't want this, you make me do it. You're changing this, changing that. Great, sounds good. She'd sit down and be like, I don't want it. You're doing it.
I got to where I'd lie to Freddie during the actual race.
Don't listen.
And I was like, he was like, hey, give me your wrappers, because I had a pocket for empties and a pocket for refills. And he's like, man, how you doing? I was like, I feel outstanding. He's like, you do? And that's like a Jesse Itzler thing, He's like, I feel outstanding, even if you're dragging your leg behind you. And he's like, hey, have you eaten this? I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, I had 2 of these. I drank 2 bottles. I was like, and I was delirious. So I was like, he's like, these bottles? I was like, yep, those are them. I was like, oh, you already filled them, thanks. He's like, no, they were still full. I was like, oh, thanks for filling them back up. And he's just looking at me. I was like, yeah, just write it down. And he's like, what else did you eat? I was like, I already threw away my wrappers. I was like, but I had some potato chips. He pulled out the bag from my bag. He's like, these potato chips? I was like, yeah, those are extra. He's like, have you eaten anything? He's like, you need to eat. but the metrics, and that was type A mentality of us. And what it allowed us to is the first time to go out and do 100, because then whatever, I was in shenanigans and I ate plenty, figured it out. But then there was a point when Matt was in the pain cave, and he pulled out some iPod Nano that I don't even think worked. He just put his headphones in. We had a pacer that had never ran with us. And so then I felt like I was babysitting the pacer, and Matt was just over there listening to dinosaurs. Like, what are you doing? Nothing was even turned on for the next 24 miles of the run. I'm like, okay, let me entertain this guy and try to eat. And I was like, Matt, you need to eat. And me having to tell him to eat is hilarious. I was like, hey, you haven't eaten? He's like, no, I'm good. I was like, no, I checked your carb level. You're way low. You need to eat. But just of seasonality of having someone, when they're doing good, you're doing bad, and when you're bad, you're doing good. But we still kept moving at the same pace. Yeah. And in the end, it equaled to a great outcome of everything coming together, of all the people and all the variabilities.
There's so many stories that come from it. There should be more shorts, videos of people, whether it be crew or runners, that are on events running through. If there would be more, and I know there's plenty of people that run videos and everything of what's going on, but stories that come from y'all, stories that come from crew that are anything that are involved. One of the times that, we were at Arkansas Traveler running through, and it was 2 or 3 in the morning. I had set up and turned on the PA speaker, and they're like, hey, would you mind turning it down? I said, sincerely, no, I will not turn it down. They're running, I don't know, on mile 75 or 80. And if I let them down and they're coming up the hill and I don't have the freaking lights on and stereo and everything else, I don't care. Go sit down over there. And so it's so much fun of going through, but then you can hear of bringing up the rest of your crew. So I love all of that.
Yeah.
Love all of that. What is one leadership lesson that you say you've really learned from this year that has taught you in moving forward?
I think we always talk about surrounding yourself with good people, and in some ways you can differentiate yourself, but if it's within your current circle with work, right, you're not just going to get rid of that circle as easily as you would as friends or people around you. If you can elevate your circle, so there's certain circles you can move out of, and there's certain circles you can't.
Yeah.
Right. And so even if they're doing outstanding, in order to elevate yourself, something that I've learned and we'll use to move into the next season is continue to push to elevate that. Say, okay, what's our challenge for January? What are we doing for January? And they're like, well, I don't know, it's January 13th. I was like, okay, perfect. Like, I'm not waiting for a Monday or the 1st. Today, let's start with doing this. Let's complete these tasks, these activities. Let's check in 3 times a week, whatever it may be. Let's do 10 push-ups a day, or what, so you can elevate your circle to then be a little bit better. Because then they'll start challenging you, and you're like, oh, shoot, well, I started that, so I got to follow through with it.
Yeah. I think that, that whole, the power of 5, and everybody's heard about that, show me the 5 closest people around you, and I'll show you the average of them is what you're going to be. That changes, though.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's changed with you as well, of like, okay, you get back into the university and now you're doing the research.
Yeah.
Well, the people closest around you that you're learning for, they're different than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 10 years ago.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Yep.
That's a different stage in life. That's just so important, the people that you have around you and who's pouring into you, so then you can pour into others.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the reasons I've gone back, is just, I don't like stagnation, like feeling like I'm just doing the same thing on repeat and no growth. So always trying to find growth, whether that be in my own studies or setting goals, or pursuing the PhD or the RD, registered dietitian thing. Finding those that can surround myself, that scare me a little when I go into, when I go into present and I'm presenting to experts that are going to ask me questions, and then they're going to ask me questions on questions, and you got to back it up and stand your ground. It sets the tone differently.
I think you said something right there that we haven't dove into, but I got to bring the subject up and then we'll wrap up here. But it scared you a little bit. And I think, like, when we talk about, like, why do you go from a 5K to a half marathon to a marathon to a 50K, then all of a sudden to a 100-miler? It's something that's unknown, of like, hey, that's a little bit scary, yet exciting.
Yeah.
And I know the same thing like we did in business here when we moved to this campus. Like, it was exciting, but it was scary at the same time, like the financial commitment that it was. Like, I think we got the game plan to make this work.
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yep.
But I think it's the same, like especially in the ultra world and why we've done the hundreds.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Like goals, it's easier to get up and train and do the work when you have something on the horizon that is a little bit scary. Like you can conceptually see yourself doing it.
Yeah.
And there are times when you cannot, right? I remember being in my first 100, which was also Traveler, getting to 50K to go, back to Powerline, and being like, there's no way I can finish this. It's not possible. And as an athlete, I've never felt that in my entire life before. I've never been in a situation where I couldn't see myself succeeding on the back end.
Yeah.
And my wife, being the hard ass she is, was like, go, dude. Like, you signed up for this, let's go. And I pulled out every stop to try and quit I could, and finished, and it changed me as a human. But yeah, having that something on the horizon that is challenging, a little scary, I think is valuable.
I think it challenges our, Shelby talks about it always starts with your mind at the first of the day. Well, if we're not challenging our mind, it's a muscle too.
Yeah.
100%.
And if we're not challenging that, and that's where everything else starts from, is your mindset.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing the hard things, we're not going out and doing these hard things to hopefully get a sponsor.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
we're not going to
they hadn't
qualify for the
called yet.
Olympics. We're our own sponsor.
Yeah.
But it's because we realize that it challenges our mind, and that's where everything else starts.
Yeah. For me, it changes my understanding of what hard is. So you set a new threshold, a new baseline, kind of all the time.
We've had this conversation. When you do something at a level of, let's take a 100-mile race, and everybody doesn't have to go to a 100-miler, but a 100-mile race, some of the small things every day, they're like, that's no big deal.
Yeah. Manage this.
It's so easy. So it controls that freak out mode you'd normally have. You're like, now this isn't a big deal. Let me show you what a big deal is.
Yeah.
And it allows you to be a level head, clear leader to make decisions throughout life.
Yep. I agree. I think about that often in the PhD world, and I'm doing these things that are hard and probably would have ranked of like scary and really hard previously. But then I think back to some of these situations I've been in races and other things. I'm like, okay, this doesn't rank as hard. I'm in a safe environment. I'm literally trying to write a paper and represent what I'm doing. It's cognitively hard and in a different way. And it's scary because there's unknown, and you're sharing your work and you're getting judged on your work and these things. But it absolutely changes your perspective.
It does.
And
It does. And I think it's cool that it allows you to break it down into small pieces, because that's how you complete something long, or something that's a really large project, is a small piece.
Yeah.
Complete this chapter, complete this page, read this sentence, write this sentence, get this equation right, figure this out, get this over to that person. Because that's the same way that you and I went back and forth at Run Rabbit of trying to, like, I want to be out of the race, and Shawn's like, well, let's just keep going. Hey, let's see what they have to offer at this aid station, and you learn that in life and in business of like, okay, let's just complete small tasks, and in the end is something large.
a little bit.
No, I think that's so important. And, if it won't break down a 100-miler anymore, except just a little piece of it. Like when you go into it, what we would talk about is how far is it to the next aid station?
Yeah.
It never was, we have 75 miles left. We have 80 miles left. How does that relate over in business? Well, we focus on managing daily activities. We set a monthly goal. We might set a yearly goal. But how many times during the meeting do we go over how close we are on our yearly goal? We don't. We set that maybe on a quarterly basis or on a 6-month basis, but it's today, here's what we have to do. We got to make X amount of phone calls. We got to write up X amount of service stuff. And here's how we got to do X amount of posts.
Yeah.
We address the same thing in performance for an outcome for like youth to adult. And it's that, the idea of like, what can you control? Like a kid will say, hey, I want to run a 408 mile. I'll be like, okay, great. I'm going to do it at this race. You can't control that, but you can control the daily activities, these processes that lead to that.
That's good.
And that's very valuable.
Good.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and being with us today, Shawn. A whole lot of nutritional value, a whole lot of coaching value. I always love seeing, always a fun time with any of the races we're always at. Let them know where they can check anything out online if they're wanting to get in touch with you, wanting to get any other knowledge from you. How do they reach out to you?
You can find me at Arkansas Track Club on their Instagram or ArkansasTrackClub.com. Same with Gray Matter Performance, which is a collaborative group that I work with some. And then I'm up at the university. If you, our lab is actually on Instagram. It's the H2O lab, which is Heat and Hydration Optimization Lab. But yeah, probably Arkansas Track Club's the easiest way to find me. Shawn at Arkansas Track Club.
I gotcha. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Check us always out on lewissuperstore.com or crossroadsconversationpodcast.com.
Hey, thanks for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to give it a like, share it with your friends and family, visit our website, and send us some questions. We want to know what you'd like to hear, who you'd like to hear from, and what you want to see, or maybe even some questions for us to answer about either the automotive industry or just business in general.